Spare us your pity, alien. You gush about your connection with nature, your primal wisdom, but what has it brought you? What are your marvels of engineering, your voyages of discovery, your great insight into the nature of the universe? Even at our basest, when dressed as you do, dwelt as you do, hunted as you do, lived as you do, we did more than merely survive. We built wonders, we made great journeys, we forged epics. You have not. You speak so proudly of the plugs dangling from your skulls without realizing that they are but strings in you puppets. What little you have accomplished your attributes to the wisdom of your goddess, who is nothing more than the voices of your dead, echoing for all eternity. She moors you to the past, serving as a leash that will keep you as little more than ape, and parodies of civilization that lack the special spark to become something more. We have come to your world in search of resources. Whether your actions drive us back or we take what we want and move on, the outcome is the same. We will depart from your wretched planet, leaving you behind. And in 1,000 years, you will not have changed from this contact with another world. You will remain in your trees, hunting your prey, communing with your goddess until your sun burns out and your world dies. And above your tomb, the stars will belong to us.
In other words, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fluffenhammer. Music, maestro, please.
Nice. Starting with proper Grimdark. Makes sense, given the subject.
Yes.
Makes sense.
And of course, the question is, where does it come from? Does anyone know?
I don't know.
You're going to be so angry.
I have no idea. What is it?
Avatar.
Oh, fuck off. Sorry. Not the good Avatar.
No.
Not the good Avatar. No, not the good Avatar. No.
No.
The bad Avatar.
No. It's funny is that you take something like that and you give it a 40k sheen and suddenly it's like, oh!
Bloody Pocahontas in space, white savior narrative in space, bloody Nora. Jesus.
Ferngully the Last Avatar, but without
the Last Avatar. Dances with Avatar.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like one of those things where it's Ferngully but shit because it doesn't have sexy smoke.
Right, yeah, I love. Oh my god, Tim Curry in that bloody film. Voice director doing so. Okay, Tim. We want you to play this villain in an animated children's cartoon like you're reinventing sex. Okay.
Yeah.
And Tim is like, okay, I can do that.
Come for us, Tim. Come on, microphone for us. Yes.
Climb beneath me.
Yeah.
Climb up above. I want your toxic love. He's just like, what are you doing to that microphone, Tim?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're like, does it need a smoke afterwards or what?
It's like someone in the recording studio has to tap out. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't be in the room with him.
Jeez, what was he doing with that? And I love the way that they actually, like, the animation model when it becomes the smoke creature, they've modeled it on Tim Curry. It looks like him. It's hilarious.
Oh God, I love it. I love it so much. It's like what fascinates me is you go from that to not only a few years later, you've got Tim Curry doing the Wild Thornberries.
Which another great bit of voice acting from him.
All right, Nigel Hawthorne's amazing. Nigel Hawthorne? No, that's not. Nigel Hawthorne's the guy from Demolition Man.
Yeah, that's not right.
I mean, he's pretty cool too.
No, I'm all in for mixing those two worlds up now. Yes, after the franchise wars, he doesn't know how to get the 3 seashells.
I really miss Nicktoons that were animated by that animation studio, Gaber and Supo, wasn't it?
Yep,
who did the original Simpsons.
Yes.
And the original Rugrats.
The one I miss, weirdly enough, and it's quite late on, is the animation studio that did stuff like the Men in Black series, the Extreme Ghostbusters.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I don't remember what they're called, but I remember the
Me neither.
style very well.
It had that real urban look to it.
Yeah.
They did the Godzilla series as well. There's no other way to describe it. It had an urban, decayed look to it that was good.
It was dark, wasn't it? They had like an aesthetic where everything was like muted.
Yeah, very much so.
That kind of worked for it, you know?
Yeah.
Not quite to the extreme, like, chiaroscuro degree of the 1990s Batman cartoon.
No.
But similar in vibe.
Yeah. It took a lot of the what they learned from that and ran with it, you know.
Oh, God. I rewatched that recently. That is a masterpiece of a series.
The which one, sorry?
The Batman, the 1990s Batman cartoon.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'd say some of it is. There's some not very good episodes in
you have
there.
to skip some of the bad episodes, but like the ones that are really good are...
They're really good. Yeah, they're fantastic.
Good. It deals with stuff that no cartoon of the era was dealing with. It really treated its audience with an awful amount of respect.
I've been rewatching The Batman, which is okay. The problem is it followed on from Justice League Unlimited, so it's like, the thing I was thinking to myself while watching it last night is I think it's more consistent than the animated show.
Yeah,
but it doesn't have the heights of the animated show.
No, that's exactly it. It's a bit more standardized, isn't it? You know, but it is consistently fine. It's consistently good, though. You know.
I've not watched an episode for the Batman where I'm like, wow, this is really rough. And yet for the animated series, I can't ever help but think of the episode where Bruce loses his mind and he's working in a mine as a miner, and he's got this rocky... Yeah, that's an awful episode.
Yeah.
It is so crap.
Yeah, definitely. You've got to you are absolutely right. It's like highs and lows, isn't it? But the highs are...
They're so high.
They're so high, yeah.
Look at Never Too Late. You've got a Saturday morning cartoon show, which is all about the fact that you've got these two childhood friends. One became a priest.
It's an
one became a...
episode,
It's a character study, the likes of which that just adult TV can't get into their grips of. It's freaking astounding.
Yeah, it is really... that is one of the high episodes, actually. It's not,
definitely.
Think about that one. It kind of isn't about Batman. You know, it kind of makes Batman a background character. It's about the dynamics between these two childhood friends, and it's really good.
One lost a leg to a train because he pushed the one that became a crime leader out the way.
Yeah.
The power of those episodes is it's tangible.
I just love the fact the writers were willing to go there, and they had to push for that stuff. The studios were like, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that. This is too much. This is too scary. This is too dark. Too complex. You know, and ironically, obviously, kids of the era responded really well to it because it wasn't treating them like idiots.
It's funny actually because I still think that nothing in the Batman the Animated Series is as horror themed as the Batman versus the Dracula.
Well, I suppose that's a bit different because that's like a direct VHS kind of movie.
Yeah, that's a different thing.
TV standards can change.
But when you have like Vampire Joker just licking the blood off the floor, that's like seriously wrong.
Even some of the films that span off from the animated series, like Mask of the Phantasm, that deals with. That's got some stuff going on. That's aimed at kids. Ostensibly, it's aimed at kids. But whoa, is it complex? And wow, is it muted and dark and really kind of adult in terms of its drama?
Mask of the Phantasm is the best Batman movie.
It's really, it is really good. It is really, really good. I mean, the writing is just on point. It is on point.
Yeah, and it never lets up. That's the fascinating thing about it. When the action slows down, the emotional core comes to the fore.
Yes, you get a lot of like drama in that one. Domestic drama, psychological drama. It's good. It's a very good film.
I didn't expect I'd be happy.
No.
I never expected this. I never thought I'd be happy. Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. It's like, wait.
Don't worry, Bruce. I'll go away soon.
Don't worry, man. It's fine. You know, you'll get back to status quo very shortly.
Oh, you want to know what it's like being miserable? Let me introduce you to my friend, Peter Parker. So, Alan, why do you not read Spider-Man comics anymore? Because I don't like torture porn. Because I'm sick of what they keep doing to him. It's ridiculous.
I bowed out after they kept hitting the big reset button. I hate the way with Spider-Man in particular, they keep letting him get so far in terms of his character development, and then they want to take it in a different direction, so they hit that big reset button. Some bullshit comes in, like Mephisto rewriting reality or whatever, and it takes it all away. It takes away all of that development and that intrigue, and I'm like, tell the story! Tell the fucking story! I know by the nature of comic books, you're going to have to go back to status quo at some point, or take it back to a particular point, but finish the goddamn story first, yeah?
What killed Spider-Man for me? Hello, by the way, I'm Adam, this is George, and over there's Andy.
Hello!
We are, in fact, a Warhammer podcast. We'll get there, don't worry. What is killing Spider-Man for me is every single time there is a step forward in Peter Parker being allowed some happiness, the editorial comes in and slices it down, and every single time.
People forget. I started reading Spider-Man comics when I was in my teens, and it was the Clone Saga, which everyone hates. Everyone hates, right? People forget the beginning of the Clone Saga was really good.
Yeah,
it was really good. It moved Spider-Man on. He was in his 30s, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he got a job.
Married.
He was married. He had a kid on the way, and it had all of this weird identity politics in it, with the ostensible clone of Peter turning up. Ben Reilly. And it was really good. Then towards the end, they get fucking cold feet, don't they? And all the interesting stuff they've set up, it's like, no, we're going to hit the big reset button. It doesn't make any sense, by the way. There's a load of stuff they've set up that makes the conclusion they come to not make sense. And of course,
it's also that it's really stretched out, protracted, and goes on forever. Isn't that one of the other issues?
It is very protracted.
Yeah,
but the good stuff is really good. It's the identity stuff. That's when it gets really interesting. When you're not certain who the clone is, and they're not certain who the clone is and who the original one was. It's really good, that stuff. But they get cold feet. They want to take it in a different direction. It gets really dark and adult. Peter Parker's got a life, And it's like, no, we want him to go back to college. We want him to be like the high school kid again. So we've got to get rid of the marriage. We've got to get rid of all the identity stuff. And it's like, and we've got to bring back all the classic villains. So you get this rush where they're just like, oh, let's resurrect Dr. Octavius. Let's resurrect the Green Goblin. It's like, fuck off,
And do you remember what comes out of that? Do you remember what comes out of that? Norman Osborn got Gwen Stacy pregnant.
Yeah. It's like, Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ! I stopped reading after they did the big reset, where it was like, oh yeah, Ben was never the clone. Ben was never the real one. He was always the clone, and Peter was always the real one. It's like, fuck off, All of that interesting stuff that you'd set up. Ben Reilly was such a great character. He had that spin-off, with Kane, where it went really dark. And I mean, it went hyper dark. It was brilliant.
And Kane had the really cool 90s outfit, which only works in the 90s.
Yes,
He's basically Spawn.
Yeah, it is basically Spider Spawn. Yeah, Spider Spawn. Yeah.
So cool.
So, honestly, read Ultimate Spider-Man. The new Ultimate Spider-Man, because he doesn't get his powers until he's already married and has 2 kids.
Okay.
It's incredible.
That's interesting.
Genuinely, it's the best Spider-Man's been in decades.
I like that. I like that idea.
Yeah. So I mean, and his kids are old enough that one of them comes out with him. So you've got Spider-Man and his son swinging around New York City. It's brilliant.
So interesting. I wouldn't mind having a read of that.
Yeah, I recommend them. Recommend them highly, because honestly, the current Ultimate Spider-Man is great. Ultimate Avengers is freaking amazing. Genuinely, this is what comics should be aiming for constantly. Yeah, it is some of the... So the idea is that the maker, which is the Reed Richards from the original Ultimate universe, he's gone back to something that is vaguely the Ultimate Universe, and he took it over, destroyed all the heroes, made sure that none of the heroes happened. Right?
Okay.
And they found out, Tony Stark has found all this out, and he's like sending out these little packages that give people their powers. So they're all getting their powers much later in life.
Okay.
But they've got a year. Is it a year or 2 years? Maybe 2 years until the Maker gets free from the prison that they've locked him in, like this time capsule. And they've got to try and get all the heroes up, running, and ready by the time the Maker gets back out.
Right.
And it's just, it is insanely good. It is like,
that's when these comics are really good. It's when they sort of put down the obsession with law and status quo and whatnot, because the law's never been consistent. They've always changed depending on who's bloody writing them, obviously.
Yeah, completely.
And when they do something, when they let the writers and the artists just fly, when they let them do something interesting with the material. I mean, Batman is always best when the writers are allowed to do their thing with them. Best series, the very best Batman series are the ones that go wild. The really hog wild ones, like Arkham Asylum, A Serious House on Serious Earth.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I mean, like genuinely artistic,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a storyline for Batman which begins in 1988 in Venom and ends when No Man's Land finishes in 2000. And it's one continuous storyline.
Right.
That you kind of get little bits after it that kind of continue the story, but you get the end of that story, and it is like a soft reboot after that. But that's a 12-year storyline, and that is the best Batman ever got.
Makes sense,
Because everything that happens from Venom in 1988 onwards, it adds to the character. The character evolves. He changes. You get him understanding that he needs to have people around him, and it's just this constant growth.
Yeah,
that happens.
I like to see. It's like some of the more recent Spider-Man series where Venom has evolved as a character. So now Peter and Eddie are friends. Yeah, I love that. I love that, and I dread when the big reset happens. It's like, oh no, Venom's got to be a villain again. So we've got to get them fighting again. So
you've got the villain Venoms.
Yes, just let Venom be someone else then. Yeah, let Venom be a villain again. Let him be the Scorpion again, or Matt Gargan or whoever.
I'm glad you remembered it was Matt Gargan, because all I could remember was Matt Hagen, and he's Clayface. And a Clayface Venom would be very weird.
I remember it was Matt Gargan from Thunderbolts, where he was. It's a very quick, like 2 graphic novel run, but it was pretty fun.
Yeah,
yeah. That was actually quite a good run. Actually,
Warren Ellis, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yes, unfortunately.
I really like. I love seeing Peter and Eddie talking, getting coffee, and just shooting the breeze and just being people.
Yeah,
kind of love that.
That's it. I think that's why I don't like a lot of modern Spider-Man is Peter Parker isn't allowed to be a person. He's a cipher for misery.
Yeah.
How much misery can you siphon off into one human being?
I would call that the Hollywood effect, because there is this thing in Hollywood with and this is literally true. They have a checklist of things that you have to have in your script to make it work, to make it viable, And one of them is tension. There has to be tension. And it's like, well, if that's not part of the interaction, then that's not part of the interaction, right? But tension is a thing. So you get synthetic tension injected into relationships and interactions. You see it all the fucking time. And
that's the CW shows.
I hate it.
It's why I can't stand CW shows, because everything, and The Flash and Arrow were so freaking bad for it, because all it would take is for one of the characters to turn to another character and say, oh, by the way, this happened, and I'm really sorry about it. And the tension goes away.
Goes away, yeah.
Yeah, it's problem solved, because they just fucking stare at each other like a pair of decapitated monkeys gazing gleefully at the next world. Nothing happens.
Just talk, right? Just actually talk to one. Interact like normal fucking human beings, Yeah. I mean,
anyhow,
you can translate this up to 40k as well, because this is why fucking heresy happened, right? If the Emperor, who's supposed to be this like ancient paragon of humanity, who markets himself as fucking perfect, and just said to characters like Lorgar, for example, if you just taken Lorgar aside and said, "Oh yeah, Lorgar, by the way, you have this inclination, right? You can be a bit extreme ideologically. That's fine. Over there, you see that in the warp, that's chaos. It's evil, it's sentient, it's going to want to try and get to you. But here's the thing, we're not going to let it. I'm going to give you a purpose in my new Imperium that's going to suit your inclinations perfectly. You are going to be like the scion of this new ideology. You know, you're the one that's good. Your warriors are the ones that were going to go out there and spread it amongst the stars." That's all he had to do. Give him like that secular ideology as the basis of his metaphysics, right? That's all he needed to do. Magnus. The Emperor met Magnus in the warp before they met physically, right? So all he had to say to Magnus, you see that seething knot of insanity over there? That's chaos. And that bit there is Zeech. And Zeech already has his eye on you because you've got inclinations that are similar to his aspects. But here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna be like the guiding light for all of humanity. You are going to be the one who leads humanity into some new condition of psychic revelation. That's all he had to say to him. And then that would have been it. That would have been it. But he doesn't. You know? He doesn't. It's the most infuriating thing.
I think you could justify it if you wrote a story from the Emperor's perspective about a man trying to grab grains of sand falling from an hourglass, but on a galactic scale. And he's got all these things he needs to do, but can't get them done in time. I think that's the only way you could get that sorted.
It's thin, though. It's thin, that is. I mean, like...
It's the only way you can justify it, which
really
is that's how you justify it. Because otherwise, why would he do it?
You either do it that way, or you do it the other way, where the Emperor intended for this in the first place. That's the only other answer. Things like, Angron. All he had to do... The Emperor himself was in a fleet alongside Deptus Custodes and the Warhounds Legion, who would become the World Eaters, around the planet of Nuceria. All he had to do was teleport down with his Custodes and help Angron fight his war against the High Riders. And suddenly, Angron's on side. Suddenly, Angron doesn't become what he becomes in the Heresy, right? That's all it would have taken. It's the most bizarre thing. And you can either take it as like bad writing, or you can take it as the Emperor has other agendas and other intentions.
Yes, I think we can take the second of those as the way forward.
Well, given the way the Heresy has ended, yeah, I think you can take it as the second. You know?
So it sounds like the writing team has edged it more towards that over the years.
It does feel that way. It feels as though what they're getting at is that the plans of the Emperor are vast, and they've got really nothing to do with the well-being of humanity. It's something else. It's some other vast idea, something about reshaping reality to his own designs or whatever, It's yeah.
He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy.
I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil it for the people who haven't read it. But I would recommend reading The Carrion Lord in the Era of Ruin, because there's a lot going on in that short story. I'd say there's more going on in that one short story than in most of the books of the Heresy, in terms of what it like changing the setting or changing the dynamic of the setting. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a powerful one, that one. Written by ADB, and it's
Always going to be good. But that takes us on. That takes us exactly to where I want to be. That's a nice little segue that we can all jump on in the imagination copter and fly into the giant neon words that ask the question, what books from these settings signifies the setting the most to you? What solidifies the setting most for you? So what is the most 40k book that you've read out of all the 40k books? What is the most AOS book that you've read out of all the AOS books? Same with Warhammer Fantasy Battle. And we can go and we'll just go back and forward. There's no real plan for this one. It's all quite loosey-loosey. And the reason I've thought of this, I'll give you the full spiel of why this popped into my brain. I wrote a essay for part of my Sunday Musings, which, if you're not reading my Sunday Musings, the idea is that every week I take exactly 90 minutes to write an article from start to finish. I have a concept, I time myself 90 minutes, and I have it down in 90 minutes. It is both a way to get content onto the site and also a way to just kind of hone my writing abilities a bit. And I started writing about Ian Watson.
Oh, wow.
Because Ian Watson...
So classic stuff.
Oh, yes. Ian Watson is a guy that came out of the weird fiction of the 70s and early 80s
it's
into
the pulp
Warhammer.
weird, isn't it? It's the pulp weird. It's your Moorcock, it's your Lovecraft, it's the really like strange acid trip Roger Dean album cover stuff, yeah?
Yeah. A lot of it is basically the actual things that happen in the novel aren't as important as the feelings that the stories give you, and that is what Ian Watson does a lot of.
It's the impression, isn't it, that it gives?
Yeah.
That's what it is, because a lot of it doesn't really. I mean, if you're obsessed with lore and whatnot, not much of it stands very well in the present day setting of 40k, right?
No, and we're talking about his Space Marine, which was. It's a very, very strange book. Very, very strange.
Very weird. And it goes deep into that pulp metaphysics of the 40k universe.
He also wrote the Jacques Draco trilogy, which I will fight anyone who says that that's bad, because it's amazing. It's not 40k as we understand it now.
No. Well, you've got an Inquisitor who's got an Eldari companion, don't you? It's like, they wouldn't do that now. It's like, what?
I mean... First of all, he's got Melindy, who's a shape-shifting assassin who can neither... First of all, she can only be a Genestealer hybrid, but then they take that away from her so she could take on other forms and she becomes an Eldari. But then you get the Harlequins turn up as well, and they start fucking with him as well. And it's a big bag of weird. There's an entire sequence in the first book where they join a queue to go see the Emperor.
It's a weird time in Warhammer fiction because it wasn't codified back then. This is well before anything like the Black Library or anything like that. It was a strange phenomena to have novels about the Warhammer universe or the fantasy universe at that point.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then over on the other side, you have things like the Orfeo trilogy, which is an incredible trilogy. Or you've got the Conrad series, the Conrad trilogy, which is a terrible trilogy, but also I can't help but love it because there's a lot of stuff in there. But those early days kind of do a lot to signify what Warhammer is to me, and that's where I started thinking about it all. That's where I kind of wanted to get into this one. I've opened up the question as well to everybody in the Discord on Facebook and that place. So hopefully we'll get some answers. We can come back to that later on. Namely then, out of all the novels that you guys have gone through, because I know Andy's done a lot of Audible ones, haven't you?
Yes, they're the only ones I've done.
Yeah. What is the ones that kind of stand out for you first and foremost as being, this is the one that got the setting how I imagine it?
Who are you asking?
Anybody who wants to answer first.
Open
floor.
I'll definitely go for 40k because that tends to be that tends to be the setting where I read the literature.
Yep.
I don't read that much for AOS or the Old World as such. For me, it's always going to be the ones that Daffod's kind of got it. He says in the chat that for getting into the absurdities of the setting, for me, Warhammer 40,000 and like these settings in general, they are grimdark fiction. They're the epitome of grimdark, which means that they are inherently absurd. Grimdark, that's what it is. That's its nature. It's innately satirical because of how big and bombastic and completely extreme the ideas, the language, that wonderful brand of Moorcockian nihilism that they have, which they've adopted. I mean, Moorcock is a massive influence on all of these settings. Lovecraft, again, that wonderful metaphysical nihilism, So for me, it's those books, but it's also those books where the writers elevate the setting, where they're not so like slavish to what's gone before or common assumptions of the setting that they're just going to toe the line, So for me, there's like a coterie of authors in the Black Library that do that just beautifully. And I think chief amongst them, for me, it's got to be Aaron Dembski Bowden. got to be Aaron
Yeah.
Dembski Bowden, just on a purely technical level. I mean, I'm a writer myself. I've got work out there, and his writing on a purely technical level is absolutely beautiful. I mean, he's a really genuinely good writer on a purely nuts and bolts level. If you get an Aaron Dembski Bowden story, it's going to be well written. It's going to be like on a purely aesthetic level, really, really beautiful. But he also has that quality of understanding the essentials of the setting, understanding the nature of it, and then elevating it, like taking it up several notches. And he does it consistently, regardless of what he's writing about. So I think most people know him from the Night Lords trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Night Lords trilogy kind of exploded onto the setting. It exploded with like that a real force, because it must have been a real challenge. You take an army like the Night Lords, and the Night Lords are some of the most ridiculously absurd, extreme, grimdark elements of a very grimdark setting. Yeah? They are everything that's evil in the Space Marines, which are pretty evil to start off with, and ramped up to the most ridiculously absurd extremes. They are literally ubermensch, genetically enhanced, psychologically indoctrinated fascist serial killers and sadists who don't believe in anything. They don't believe in anything. They don't even have, most of the Space Marines have the delusion of an ideology, at least. Even most of the Chaos Space Marines do. But the Night Lords don't. They are just cynical, atheological monsters who are just free in this universe where nothing can stop them. They are sadists and psychic vampires who feed on fear and dread and pain. Writing that in like a long form piece of fiction like a novel is really hard. It's really bloody difficult. Because how do you make complex characters? How do you make characters that anyone has any connection to?
Mm-hmm.
And yet somehow in that trilogy he does it, and he does it in a really subtle way. He doesn't dilute the monstrosity of them. That's also a temptation. He doesn't dilute what absolute complete horrors they are. In fact, he goes full bore into it. There's some stuff in those books that's Clive Barkerian,
Yes. Yeah.
really nasty. These characters are unpleasant. And yet somehow he manages to make them into interesting, complex, fascinating characters who are operating in a setting that is, the setting itself kind of sets up characters to be this. And I love the fact that he gets that. I love the fact that he understands that. As bad as they are in many respects no worse than anyone else,
Yeah.
In fact, I mean, in one of the things the Night Lords themselves make the point of is everyone else in the universe is deluded.
Yeah.
The ones who
we're honest.
believe,
Yeah.
the ones that believe that there's some purpose or poetry or future, even the Night Lords don't believe that. They don't believe that. They don't look forward to the future. There's no grand design. There's no plan other than surviving and indulging themselves. That is it. And that's part of the struggle that the characters deal with. The fact that they don't have anywhere to go, the fact that they don't have any unification or ideology that's driving them forward. That's what makes them so interesting. They're nihilists in an utterly nihilistic universe. And it's
interesting.
I love that.
One of the things I always find interesting about the Night Lords trilogy is that a lot of it is done through the eyes of the young lad who's I say young lad, he's who is a slave, a vassal,
right.
for the Night Lords. So when things feel like they could get a little too simplified in the horror that they're being shown, you get to see it from his eyes. And even when he is broken down and he can only think of a life that is being a vassal to a Night Lord champion, that horror still affects him. And that gets across the edges and the knives of the setting beautifully, I think.
It really is interesting. And the fact that you have like degrees of monstrosity and psychopathy going on as well. So there are Night Lords that occur who are everything you would expect them to be. They're completely sadistic, they're short-sighted. They're only interested in their own dominance and their whatever pain they can cause. And then you've got the other ones who have all of that going on, but they also have other complexities as well.
Yes.
That is fascinating. I really, really like that. There is, as you say, Adam, what Aaron Dembski Bowden gets about the Night Lords is that there's an honesty in them. It's an awful honesty, and it says a lot about the nature of the setting.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not like, say, the Word Bearers, who believe that there is some future. There is, like, they believe that the future is a kind of utopia of chaos. They believe that leading humanity into the arms of the Chaos Powers will usher in a new condition, a new state for humanity and across the universe. Yeah. And most of the cult legions believe this too, to some degree or another. That if they, the Death Guard believe by spreading the gifts of Father Nurgle, they're doing the right thing. They're doing something good. They're ushering in something beautiful and true. The Night Lords don't believe that. They don't allow themselves that delusion. They don't allow it. It's almost like that has become an ideology for them. This notion of a really dark truthfulness and honesty. It's fascinating.
It's the idea of nihilism being taken to the idea of a religious fervor, the idea of there is nothing here that is worth
preserving,
anything,
right? Yeah, absolutely.
Everything.
There are characters in other bits of fiction that make that same point. Fabius Bile. This is, Josh Reynolds' Fabius Bile books. Now, Fabius operates from a very similar perspective, foundational perspective, that as the universe stands, there's nothing worth preserving. There's nothing worth preserving. But the difference between the Night Lords and Fabius is that Fabius sees a potential solution. Fabius actually looks forward. Fabius is so interesting in Josh Reynolds' book because he's a utopian. He's a dark utopian. He's a very bad guy. Don't get me wrong. He is a sadist.
I was going to say he's a utopian in the true sense of the term.
In the true sense of the term, right? He is looking forward to a condition whereby all of the projects of the 40k universe have failed, because that's what he believes is inevitable. So the Imperium is going to collapse in on itself. Chaos will eventually burn itself out. The Xenos races will eventually die, and their civilizations will fail. It's all going to burn itself out. Fabius looks forward to a condition where something can arise from that, something better. Something that's insulated against the forces and the conditions that preyed upon him and his legion and everything that's gone before. That's what he sees himself as, like the father of condition that's far, far beyond any concept of what's happening in the 40k universe at the moment, where everything has gone. Everything has gone, and something new can take its place. He doesn't even intend to live. That's the interesting thing. Fabius, as bad as he is, he's not a tyrant like many of the other Chaos Space Marine characters are. He's not interested in ruling over anything, for example. The only reason he exercises any kind of authority is as a means to an end. Yeah. It's a means to an end. He fully expects to die before any of this occurs. He's just setting things in motion. That's all. He just needs to survive long enough to sow the seeds of his eugenicist project, which is the new man, the new humanity, which is genetically cut off from the warp, doesn't stir the warp at all. So the Chaos Gods will eventually starve. That's what he's looking forward to. He hates the Chaos Powers, hates the warp, hates anything to do with it, to the point whereby he's operating from this ideology of denial, like weaponized denial. There's that brilliant moment as we discussed last time, on the bridge of his ship, the Vesalius, where a Keeper of Secrets manifests, and he refuses to even acknowledge it.
Yep.
The discourse he shares with it, he says, "You're nothing. You're a metaphor. You're a rumor. You have no power, no weight, nothing." And that's how he deals with demons. That's how he deals with demons and the Chaos Powers. He refuses to become a slave to them. Absolutely refuses, and has nothing but contempt for those that do.
Which, in the grand scheme of the 40k universe, where you have a choice of either fighting or surrendering to the Chaos Powers, this third version, this third path,
Yeah.
is a fascinating one to take because it's not one that you see much of. Even the
It's
Eldari
not.
don't do it.
No, the Eldari characters in the fiction, largely, all they're trying to do is sustain themselves. And even they know they're going to die. They know. Like, certainly the Eldari of the Craft Worlds, the Azhayani, they know they're going to die eventually. They even have it in their mythic cycles. There's the notion of the Rana Dandra, where the last of the Eldari actually die. We even know, according to those prophetic cycles, which one of them is going to be the last one standing. It's Fugan, the Burning Lance. He's going to be the last Eldari soul alive before their race is exterminated completely. Interestingly, the only characters in the fiction that have a notion of a tomorrow, of a better state of being than the stagnant condition the 41st millennium is currently in, are the Chaos characters. So, Ahriman, another series that does this beautifully, John French's Ahriman series. Ahriman, in many respects, is kind of like an equivalent to Fabius Bile. Ahriman is not interested in sustaining any kind of status quo because he knows that it's never going to stand. It still holds on to this old idea that Magnus the Red had, which is humanity can be elevated to some psychic condition whereby it can change the nature of the warp. It will be able to harness and shackle the chaos powers and alter them eventually. And that's kind of what he's seeking. He's seeking something very similar to Fabius. He's looking forward to a condition whereas Fabius wants to cut humanity off from the warp, Ahriman sees that as impossible. So it says the only option is to change the warp. It's to change the nature of the warp. Now, to what degree that's deluded, to what degree he's a puppet of Zeech, well, that's part of the tensions of the universe, isn't it? And of the fiction, But he certainly believes it. He certainly believes it. And that's what he's building towards.
I wish I could talk about the Ahriman books, but I'm still to start them. I've got them sitting there ready to go.
They are well worth seeking out. I mean, at the beginning of the Ahriman books, Ahriman is down and out. I mean, he doesn't even use his psychic powers. He's disgusted by it all because all he has ever seen is the warp destroying everything it touches, corrupting everything it touches. His entire legion, right? Everything. His father is now a demon prince of Zeech. His legion has been lost. The universe, insofar as Ahriman is concerned, is a wasted experiment. There's just no way of saving it. And when the books open, he's serving as like the pet sorcerer of this petty warlord. He calls himself Hawkos, And it's only through a series of encounters with his former brothers and revelations that he realizes that it's either this way or no way. The only option he's got is he either fights to change what's going on in the 41st millennium or he dies.
Right,
Even that's not going to be the end, right? That's not going to be the end, because if you die in the 41st millennium, your soul gets sucked into chaos and you become the plaything of demons forever and a day. So that's not even an option. And what I love about Ahriman in these books is he fails consistently. He fails again and again and again and again, and catastrophically. I mean, catastrophically fails. But he never stops. He never stops. There's something really endearing about Ahriman in these books. He's not like Fabius. Fabius, although he does have this utopian ideal, this experiment, he's still pretty much a bastard. He's a really bad guy. Don't get me wrong. He's no worse than any of the other characters in the 41st millennium. You're dealing with a universe where there are no good guys, even when they pretend to be, right?
Yes.
And Fabius sees himself as kind of honest in that regard. He's not like pretending that there's anything good about what he does, Ahriman's very hard to paint as a bad guy. He's really difficult to paint as a bad guy in this universe. He's just operating in a universe which is nihilistic by its very nature, where everything is tragedy. Where fortune itself is hell-bent on destroying every project and inverting it and turning it into destruction and waste and tragic irony. And yet he's trying to change that. He's trying so hard to change it. And again, like Fabius, he doesn't see himself living to see the end of this project. There are several points in these books where he's well ready to sacrifice himself if it means that things change, if it means that the status quo of the universe alters in some way, and that there's some hope for the future.
Okay.
It just so happens that Zeech rather likes him, so he always intervenes and like pushes him out of the way of whatever's going to destroy him, you know?
It's annoying. I do have all the Araman books, and I do keep meaning to get into them. So I was going to start them this week, actually, but then I remembered I had Masters of Doom, and I hadn't read that in years.
They're really good. They're really good. John French is one of those writers who, like Aaron Dembski-Bowden, he gets the universe. He gets the fundamentals of the universe.
Yeah.
That, again, it's nihilistic. All of these projects that think they're going to survive, they're not. The Imperium is doomed. It's absolutely doomed. And it doesn't matter anyway, because it's a fascist, theocratic nightmare. You know, even if it could sustain, why? What's the point of it?
Yeah.
It's just a gigantic pinwheel of suffering forever and ever and ever, right? Yeah. So these characters who are so extreme, like Fabius, like Ahriman, like Abaddon the Despoiler, you know, they are the ones who are trying to change it. You know, they're the ones who actually see something beyond the stagnation that it's become. Even if they're doomed to failure, at least they're trying.
I think it's one of the things that it takes a little while when you're stuck into 40k to understand what the difference is between, you know, the forces of chaos and the forces of the Imperium. Where the Imperium is fighting to keep stagnation. The Imperium is constantly in the battle to stop anything from sliding further off into change, because that means they can't have that complete control anymore.
Yeah.
Chaos wants things to change, not for the better as such.
No.
But it's a universe of torture, death, and murder. Yeah. But then, you got this argument of, well, which one's the good guys?
Well, none of them. None
the
of
orcs.
Them are. Yeah, technically, I mean, if the Tyranids, maybe, because the Tyranids will ultimately usher in like complete extinction of everything, the calming of the war, the end of all war, the end of suffering. It'll just be nothing, right? Just arid rock floating through empty space forever and ever and ever. But yeah, Ahriman is very, very interesting as an ostensibly one of the villain characters in the universe. He reminds me a little bit of characters like Steerpike from Gormenghast.
Yes, yeah.
You know? Characters who are painted as the villains, but actually when you look at the settings and the circumstances into which they're born, not so much. It's hard to paint them that way. It's hard to preconceive them that way.
Yeah, I think it's just definitely a concept that I think it's got a lot of legs in exploring. Where
it's where the fiction gets really interesting. It's where the fiction actually becomes like ideologically dynamic, and the themes of the setting really come to the surface. It's wonderful. It's properly grimdark, properly Mokockian and Lovecraftian, right? There are no good answers here. There's no good options. So the characters that are actually doing something to change the status quo, be they like the rogue inquisitors that are engaging in the weirdest experiments imaginable, trying to wake up the emperor or whatever, whether it's Ahriman trying to usher in like this mass psychic evolution of humanity, whether it's Fabius with his eugenicist utopia, they're kind of the ones that are trying to do something. They're the only ones that are trying to do something. Like Robitaille Gilliman, who's trying to maintain what the Imperium is, even though he sees it as corrupt and evil and whatnot. He's doomed to failure. He's doomed to failure. I mean, the Imperium as it stands anyway is only feeding chaos. It's only feeding chaos. Why do you think Lorgar and the Wordbearers ushered it in? Yeah. There's a sequence at the end of the last book in the Siege of Terra series where Lorgar basically is on a planet that is dedicated to chaos. It's an actual civilization dedicated to chaos, and he's basically looking up at the distant war that's occurring around Terra, and it's like, good. This is exactly what we wanted. 10,000 years of feeding chaos, of giving chaos, it sustained meals, but also funneling its most powerful servants into its service. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
So there's really
absolutely.
no hope. The only characters really in the setting that are trying to do something are these villain characters who have some, and it may be completely naive. It may be that they'll never succeed, but it doesn't matter because when you boil it down, it's the only option. It's the only option,
Yeah. The Imperium cannot stand as it stands. The
nor
idea
should
that,
it, right? Nor should it.
No. Andy. So, what out of the 40k books that you've gone through, is there any of them that really stand out for you as being 40k in a nutshell?
I guess 40k in a nutshell would have to be something very grimdark in itself, right?
Very.
Well, I mean, my answer is always going to be the Jack Draco series because that's fucking nuts.
Yeah,
I've never heard of it, so I wouldn't know.
It's the older stuff. It's like that when it's some of the first books that ever came out set in the 40k setting, and they are bonkers.
And it's horny as fuck.
It's mental, isn't it? It really. They're very much like they are their own things. They're ostensibly set in the 40k universe, but it's very much the writers like playing around in that setting.
No, what Jack Draco is the writer's barely disguised fetish on full display.
It is. They're good books. They are really, but they're weird. They're very pulpy, very 1980s. Yeah, they're good books.
Mm-hmm. No, it's just a shame they didn't have an audiobook and never will.
No, they never will now, will they? I mean, I'd love it if they did like reprints of them or whatever, but
maybe that's something I should start looking at trying to do. Audiobook the entirety of the Jack Draco series.
They probably get sued for it.
Yeah,
probably, yeah. But I just want to.
How aggressive DW are these days with stuff on YouTube. Yeah, you probably get taken down.
Yeah,
that happens. But so far, we've never had anything. But then again, I'm very careful about what we do. So But yeah, so the one I would go for, I think, outside of the Jack Draco series, there is the obvious ones like Gaunt's Ghosts and the Eisenhorde series. But the 15 Hours, which is a book that you don't see many people talking about these days, which is a shame, which is written by Mitchell Scanlon. And it's the story of a guy who joins the Imperial Guard, 17 years old. He goes off, gets his training, and due to a administrative guy not carrying the one is the reason for it. Instead of being dropped into the next training zone, he's dropped into a full-blown battle against orcs. His entire unit is murdered within seconds, and nobody wants to know his name because he has to survive 15 hours to see if it's worth actually anyone knowing his name.
Oh, brilliant.
And it is genuinely one of the saddest books I've ever read.
Yeah, that gets to the heart of the nihilism and the tragedy and the darkness of this setting, right?
Yeah, because in this grand universe, this one ship going to the wrong planet doesn't matter.
Yeah, of course, right. The one Imperial... What is one Imperial... Like, not even Imperial Guardsmen at this point, but a novitiates, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does individual humanity matter to this machine? It reminds me a little bit... I can never remember what it's called, but that Warhammer horror story, where it's from the perspective of a... I think it's a guardsman or someone in the Imperial Guard, and they've been fighting this war for God knows how long. They're being endlessly shelled. They don't even know who they're fighting against.
Oh, yes.
It turns out at the end that they're not even meant to be there. And they're actually being shelled by automated versions of ancient Imperial guns. And it's like,
yep.
Oh my God, this is insane. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. The horror, the degradation of it, it's brilliant.
There's something about trench horror that really gets me.
Trench horror is very good.
And I don't know why it gets me the way it does, but there's something about it that the sheer futility of surviving scares me in a way that few other concepts do.
It's the horror of automated war, isn't it? It's the echoes of World War One. It's industrialized war,
Yeah.
It's the fact that it was pointless. It was utterly pointless, and it was just nonsense. It was an industrialized massacre unlike anything anyone had ever seen, and all it did was contribute to the death and destruction and denigration of humanity. And the only people who benefited from it were rich wankers who were providing the bullets and the guns and whatnot. Yeah, that's what it is. That's kind of the horror of the Imperium scaled up, isn't it? You know, that's what the Imperium is getting at. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of the great things about something like the Ghosts or Eisenhower series is that you get to see what it is for Forge World. Yeah, here's the tie that we get from this Forge World, but this Forge World is incredibly rich because of it.
Yeah,
you know, because all we do all day long is make bullets. This entire planet just makes bullets.
Yeah, that's its whole culture, right? Like its whole culture is dedicated to that.
Yeah. And that stuff fascinates the shit out of me.
Yeah,
it's
I love that. The bureaucratic horror.
Yeah.
Give me that all day long. And some of the Warhammer horror stories are really good about that. They're really good.
But one of the things I was going to say was the Warhammer Crime. So Warhammer Crime did something I didn't expect it to do, which was single in on what it is to be a person.
Yeah.
What is it to be a single person
in the Imperium?
Right? And it's incredible. One of them, which one was it? I can't remember the name of it now. It's gone straight out of my head. But one of them, you follow this basically 40k policeman just wandering around doing his investigations. Halfway through the book, you realise he's actually a accidental Slaaneshi cultist.
Yeah, right.
And it doesn't affect his job. He just goes home. Him and his wife, they do the little ritual, then they go to bed. Yeah, and it's like, what the shit?
Yeah, it's stuff like that is so good. There's a whole section in one of the Solar Wars books where you are following this, what you assume to be a group of indentured soldiers who are on a train heading from like one area of the world to the Imperial Palace to fight, yeah? And all the way through, as you're following them, because of the way they're talking and the way they're interacting, you just assume they're fighting on behalf of the Imperium.
Yeah.
And when they're eventually hit by raiders and by, when the train is blasted open and like their enemies pour in, it turns out that they're fighting for Horus. They're fighting on the side of the traitors, and they think it's the right thing. It's really interesting because it humanizes them, and it shows you that there's politics in this war.
Yeah,
it's very interesting. There's I don't know whether it's in one of the novels, but with regards to the bureaucratic horror of the Imperium, there's a bit of fiction somewhere in one of the books where it talks about how there are like entire the queues of people that spread throughout the Imperial Palace, the bureaucrats and whatnot. Because they move so slowly, there are actual multiple generations in those queues where people are born exclusively to wait in the queues, and that's their entire life. That's their purpose. And the raw fact of the matter is they could end up getting to the end of the queue and find out that whatever they were queuing for isn't even a concept anymore.
Yep.
You know? It's stuff like that. It's brilliant. I love that.
Yes, no, absolutely. There's something about through a lot of the books, the way that these things become culture fascinates me. There's a term here that I'm trying to find, and I can't quite remember what it is. But as we said before, it's like when you have a planet that makes bullets. The idea, whatever becomes the norm becomes the culture, and that has always been a fact within humanity's history. So when the norm gets so weird and outside a frame of reference for what we have as a society, you get some fascinating explorations into what hypothetically could be.
That's it,
stuff like the generations of queuing. One that really springs to mind is the idea, and I cannot remember the name of the book. That's going to happen quite often because there's that many books that my memory is shit. There's a concept, an idea of that the wheel is evil. You cannot have the wheel. The wheel is the word of the witch.
Yeah.
And so you have these carts that are dragged by oxen, but they're dragged on rails and slides. Really rich people have like gravjet floating machines, stuff like that. But if you had anything that was round,
Yeah.
and it all comes from the fact that there was once, many, many years ago, a really bad eclipse that stayed forever, and demons came out when the eclipse happened.
Right.
And so the round is bad.
It's evil. Yeah, it's symbolically evil, like associatively evil. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah. I cannot remember.
I love that stuff. I really like the 40k fiction that delves into what it means to live, you know, as whatever, as an imperial citizen, as a guardsman, as a sister, you know, a battle sister or whatever. I wish there was more stuff about the alien races. I really do.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a few more bits of fiction about what it means to live as an Eldari on a craft world, you know? Following the path, you know, we've got a constant, because it's so conformist, it's so conservatively conformist, where you have to follow one of these dedicated paths in your life, otherwise you risk having your soul consumed by Slaanesh, right? That kind of thing. What it is to live on a planet that's infested by a gene stealer cult? You know, what it means to
well,
be
you
part of
kind of have that with Adrian. I always get his name completely mismangled. Adrian Truskowski. He wrote a Gene Stealer Cult army, Gene Stealer Cult book for 40k.
Oh, right.
The guy who did Children of Time and stuff like that. And it's a wonderful example of exploring what it is to live in this world.
Yeah.
Because you have the Gene Stealer Cult is not described as being the bad guys here, because it's all done from their point of view, their ideology, and all that type of thing. So the Imperium, that's trying to cut this revolution down is, they're the big,
they're the oppressive bad guys.
The blank facing masks. And so you have these moments like there's a hybrid that gets killed, and the sense of absolute sadness and grief that comes out of the main character when she sees her brother get shot down. And it doesn't hide the fact that he's alien. It says she runs her hands lovingly over the no longer moving carapace, and you just all right, okay. That's amazing stuff.
Love it.
Mike Brooks and his Orc books.
He's very good.
Yeah, his Orc books where you have a bunch of Orc commandos scaling a Titan and breaking in and finding the precepts just wired in and just looking at him going, "Humans are weird."
Yeah.
What? But why? Why would you do this?
Love it.
And the sequel book where they break into the webway and they start attacking a Dark Eldar, the Drakari city, and it's just like, this is just odd, isn't it? what are they trying to do here? The idea that these concepts, which when you read in an army book, are all right. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, but then you see it in universe from another character, another race's point of view, especially one that's once removed from humanity, like you get with the Orcs. It's fantastic to experience these things of like, but why would you make this much armor with this many bits missing in the middle? It really easy to shoot. Just like absolute confusion over it. Like, don't get it.
I think that's part of like what makes the really good writers in the Black Library, to be honest. It's those ones who they understand the universe, but they also have a certain distance from it, so they can step back and understand it in context. Like the absurdity inherent, those are the ones who really, for me, they're the ones who really sell it. They're the ones who get what's going on and how they know how to manipulate it. They know how to work with it,
So then I have to ask the question, because we'll get shouted out if we don't mention it. Who's gone through Eisenhorn? Oh dear.
No, not yet. No, sorry. I know of it. I know of it, but I haven't read it yet.
Eisenhorn and Ravenor are really, really good. They are the perfect way to start a who's who of the 40k millennium.
Yeah.
There's a reason that people are given the Eisenhorn books to start, because they are a really good breakdown and description of what the 40k universe is.
Kind of a good entry point, into the fiction.
A brilliant entry point. It's why everybody wants Eisenhorn to be the TV series that Amazon's doing.
Right.
I don't think it will be. I don't think it will be, but that's why people want it. Although saying that, Dan Abnett is currently saying that he can't talk about anything he's working on at the moment because of the non-disclosure agreement he's signed.
That's interesting. Who knows, right? Who knows?
Who knows? But Henry Cavill should not play Eisenhorn. He's not right for it. It should be Mark Strong. That's the only person that can play Eisenhorn. Anyhow, yes. So they are absolutely solid. And same for something like the Gaunt's Ghosts. Gaunt's Ghosts are incredible books. They are such a wonderful description of what chaos is to the average trooper.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is fucking terrifying. It's like, oh my God. It's like, what do we do with that? But the one that I'll always go to is the Cyphers Kane novels. People have spoken about how Cyphers Kane is Blackadder. It's not. That's not a good way of describing Cyphers Kane. Because Cyphers Kane, what you have are two characters. You have the character of Cyphers Kane as he is describing the story to you, which is a lot of his own thoughts of, oh God, why am I doing this? This is good, I'm going to get killed. And his actions, which are, as he always says, that this is what a hero would do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you have, he is being incredibly brave and he is being incredibly smart and he is doing all of these amazing things that he's getting credit for, but you're privy to the inside of his head, which is like, fucking Jesus Christ, in what?
I like that. As the dichotomy, that's fun, isn't it?
Yeah. And those books are incredible. Those books are absolutely incredible because what they are, it's always here's a description of an enemy of some description in the 40k universe. So, it'll be, we're going to this planet because there's an orc invasion. Right. So half the book is about the orcs. And then something else will happen. It's like, oh shit, there's a Necron tomb underneath. So you get the explanation of the Necrons. And that's kind of how the books always work, is here's one thing. And also there is another thing. There's a huge amount of weird cultists coming in. But we followed the clues in the trail and we're over here. Oh my God, it's a Slaneshi demon. Oh no, help me.
Speaking of the Necrons, can I just throw out The Infinite and the Divine?
Yep, best 40k book ever made.
Yeah, I would agree. The Infinite and the Divine get something really fundamental. I mean, like there was this real tone shift in 40k when Third Ed hit, where it went completely grimdark. Where all of the more 2000 AD-ish, the satirical like humor elements were kind of removed. The Infinite and the Divine pumps them back in. It has that, it gets the absurdity of the universe and it runs with it. It actually turns it into a farce, and it's the universe, but it's also the concepts within the universe. The notion that you have these creatures that are effectively immortal and so perceive time in a different way, operate in a different way according to time, and that becomes a foci of both horror and hilarity in the book. I love that. I love that so much. The fact that you can play with stuff like this, that there are absurdities in the universe that are inherently funny, and there are. Yeah. I mean, the Imperium literally worships a corpse on a throne.
Yes.
It's funny.
Oh, no.
It is actually funny. The Chaos Space Marines serve elemental manifestations of just evil, and that's kind of funny in a very dark way. And I love the fact that there are writers who get that. They still understand that.
It's amusing, actually, because the Infinite and Divine, the only bad thing I can put about the Infinite and Divine is that it overwrites a lot of the conversation about the Twice Dead King, which is another Necron book.
Yeah.
It's not as funny by a long stretch. It's a lot more tragic, but it is full to the brim of amazing explorations of what it is to be Necron. Or Necrontia. The idea that obsession is something that's very important to the Necrons, because if you have a personality, you need obsession in order to be able to keep your personality, because otherwise the long years of time will destroy you. So you have a guy who he's etching the entire life stories of every Necrontia onto their metal bodies. So his entire army, he has all of their histories, and he's writing engraving their entire life stories onto their metal flesh.
Kind of like that.
It's incredible. So good. Should we move on to Fantasy Battle in AOS?
Yeah, you may have to take this one, because I don't really read much of the fiction from a Fantasy Battle setting.
Different ones. And, of course, it'll now start with me and Andy. Hey, Andy.
Yeah,
Do you remember how good Dark Harvest was?
I do. I'm not sure it's a good representation of AOS, though.
I think it's a good representation of where AOS was in the second ed.
Yeah, it feels so disconnected from the world of AOS. You could tell me it was in fantasy and I would believe you.
I honestly believe that the original draft of that book was a Warhammer Fantasy book.
I wouldn't be surprised because there's nothing in it that you go, oh yeah, this is AOS at all. Not one thing that I can think of.
Well, other than names. So, you have stuff
a couple,
like
names of places.
Yeah. But, outside of that, should we start with Fantasy Battle and then get into AOS?
Mm-hmm.
Because Fantasy Battle, of course, has the greatest series of books ever put to paper in the Felix and Gotrek series.
Of course.
Anybody going to disagree with me, and I will fight you. One of the things that always sticks in my mind whenever I go back through them is Andy saying, "This book's The Hobbit. This is Warhammer The Hobbit."
Which one did I say that one for out of interest? I don't remember.
Dragon Slayer.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Because it plays with the beats of The Hobbit, but then Warhammers them, and it's brilliant.
I mean, to be fair, that's almost like the nature of the setting, isn't it? I mean, it's always going to be that because that's what it is at base. Yeah, it's just like giant hodgepodge of influences.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tolkien being a huge great big part of that.
Yeah. Massive. Tolkien, Moorcock, and Lovecraft, and 2000 AD. Those are kind of like the pillars of the Warhammer world.
Yeah. I mean, I could go into great detail about the Conrad series, which I'm not going to. It's shit. There's no
way around it, right?
No, there isn't. I love it, but I know full well it's absolute knackers. It is.
You do find that, don't you? Because like one of the things about the Black Library is that it's ultimately like a legacy publishing house, isn't it? And a lot of the people who are writing there are people who were just working for Games Workshop when it was established. They're not necessarily writers per se, as you would think of them, and as a result, some of them are really, really good. There is a series for 40k, the Word Bearers trilogy by Anthony Reynolds, I think.
Okay.
Whoa, it's bad. I mean, like, it hurts. It's an absolute. I have read it. I will never read it again.
No.
It's just. I mean, it's just not very well written.
No,
that's the bottom line. You're reading it, and as someone who works, has some operation in publishing and writing, all I keep thinking is this needed to be redrafted at least 2 more times before it was sent to the publisher. This needed to be edited before it was published.
Yes.
It's just not very good. Like on a technical level, it's not just a matter of taste. It's on a pure nuts and bolts level. It's really badly written. And it's an exercise, insofar as I'm concerned, in how not to write for 40k or indeed for anything.
Well, so the Conrad series I have said for multiple years, and David Ferring, a man that knew what he was writing so much that he didn't put his real name on it because David Ferring doesn't exist. Is this weird collection of concepts that wouldn't be out of place in. I'm trying to think of the most generic fantasy I can think of. It's weird how much
some of the D&D novels, maybe they're kind of like that, aren't they? They're just sort of like someone who's not really a writer but understands like the images of fantasy with a big capital F, and it's like, this is a fantasy novel, so I've got to put this in here. It's a fantasy novel, so this has got to go in here.
Yeah, it's like. So what you have is something that, I mean, I don't want to say that it could turn up in like a Dragonlance book, because that's not quite right, because a lot of it is built out of Warhammer. But it's so much of this is the chosen one. He is going to be, Jesus Christ. He's got his eyes are different colours, his blue eyes sees normally, his golden eyes sees the future.
Oh, come on, Look, Ursula K. Le Guin put paid to this in the 1970s with the Earthsea series. Let's fucking move on, yeah?
And then every single experience he falls into is how the story moves forward. He has no agency in of himself.
Yeah.
Like, he meets Wolf. Wolf then treats him to a fight. He's called fucking Wolf. Come on.
Yeah.
And then he shows him how to fight, and then they go to work in a mine as guards. And then Chaos Marauders come, and he gets possessed by some armor. And then he spends the next couple of years wandering around. Then a wizard comes along and gets him out the armor. And it's so much of that.
Yeah.
And then
it sounds. I mean, I haven't read it, but it does sound like it's very much and then storytelling.
Oh, very much so.
Where it's just a list of things that happen.
Yeah.
And then this happened, and then this happened. And you could almost like you could bullet point it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And then Wolf turns out to be a werewolf. Who fucking knew?
Who saw that coming?
Yeah. And then it gets all of the people together, and they go to Altdorf to try and save the Emperor when time stops and the Skaven attack. And it turns out, you might be the reincarnation of Sigmar. And he's just like,
right.
fuck.
So it's a Chosen One narrative, right? It's a Chosen One narrative, which are generally very bad. They're usually
all the way through it, Conrad is the dullest fucking person in the world.
Which is not, I mean, like how Conrad is portrayed in the general fluff, that is not. He's meant to be mental, right?
Yeah,
he should be really interesting, really fun to be around,
No, he's shit.
That is such a shame.
But I can't help but love him. I can't help it. It's every time it's like, oh man, I'm going to reread Conrad. Oh, this is shit. This is so bad. But anyway, no, good ones. So what really, because of the age I was when I got into Fantasy Battle, stuff like the Orfeo trilogy is always going to be the stuff that is
Plague
Warhammer
Demon,
to me.
one of those.
Yeah, Plague Demon.
Yeah, I remember reading
Zargos. Zargos, sorry.
Yeah, Zargos. Yeah.
I mean, the fact that film ends with a herd of albino apes coming out of the mountain it's not really Warhammer, but it is so fucking weird.
It's very Lovecraft, that.
Yes.
Yeah, very Lovecraft.
Well, I firmly believe the Orfeo trilogy is a love letter to Brian Lumley.
Right, interesting.
Because there's so much of that kind of style of writing, the Titus Crow story,
almost like the dream cycles of the Lovecraft mythology. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Which, if no one's ever read the Titus Crow stories, I recommend reading the Titus Crow stories.
I've read the Titus Crow stories. Yeah.
Yeah, they're Middle England nut job Lovecraft nonsense. It's great.
That's exactly what it is. That is exactly what it is. It's Lovecraft's mythology in Middle England.
Yep. Great. But, outside of stuff like that, the Phoenix and Gotrek stories, which they are pulp of the highest order.
They're rollicking adventures, aren't they?
Yes.
They're rollicking fantasy adventure stories, very sort of D&D inspired.
I think you'll find they're Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay inspired.
Yeah, a good whack of Tolkien going on in there too.
Yes. As Andy says, the Dragon Slayer is the Hobbit with all the serial numbers fired off.
Yeah. But to be fair, that's what you're going to get in Warhammer fiction. What you're going to get, because that's the setting.
No, 100%.
I mean, that's the fun of it as well. I mean, like, again, the really good authors, they know that. They're well aware of what they're doing here.
Out of interest, Andy, did you read the Tomb King Bretonian book that came out with the Old World?
The Neo one?
Yes.
No, I didn't like the idea that they kind of changed the law of the Pegasus Knights, and I was like, no, I'm all right, thank you. You don't need to do that.
So, outside of any of the Felix and Gotrek stories, have you gone through any of the Old World ones?
No, they're not an audiobooks, so no.
I know you've done. Did you do End Times? Or have you not?
I've done The Return of Nagash. That's been about it so far. I have the rest. They're the only other ones that are on audiobook so far, so that's the only other one I've bought, but I haven't gone too far into, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. So I know that they've done all of the End Times book as audiobooks now, which...
The Archaon books, they're up there, aren't they?
Yep.
They're quite good, actually. They're quite interesting. They go into like real depths as to what drives him insane. Ultimately, what makes him slaughter his whole family and then take off for the Chaos Wastes. Because that's what happens. He reads a prophecy by a guy called Necrodomo the Insane. Yeah, I know, right? And it's the prophecy of, like, the treasures of chaos and the ever chosen who will usher in the end of time and reality and blah 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 blah. And that's what drives him mad and sends him, wandering off into the Chaos Wastes.
Oh man,
it's kind of fun. Kind of fun.
The one that I always enjoy and I recommend everyone gets into is the Fall of Altdorf. Let me just check to make sure I'm getting the right names here. Fall of Altdorf is really good, like genuinely fantastic. It's not Thankwall, it's not Kane. Which one was it? There's one of them which is all based in the World's Edge Mountains, and it's the last days of the dwarfs, where they are being inundated by the Skaven on one end, and the goblins like Skarsnik on the other.
Yes, I vaguely remember that story.
It is freaking incredible. Just the fact that the Skaven win.
Yeah.
They I don't know what happened in the end times, but someone remembered that the Skaven existed, and they did tons of stuff, ranging from dropping a moon on Lustria to insulting the Eldar.
Yeah, I was going to say they found like an Eldar ship, didn't they?
Yeah, they found a Wraithbone ship, and when they started talking to them, they shot it.
Brilliant.
But what you get at the end of that story, and it's something that always sticks to me, because it is a goodbye to the dwarfs, is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And the Warhammer dwarfs are such a quintessential part of Warhammer to me.
Mm-hmm.
Even though in the last episode I did make numerous disparaging comments about their lack of knees. The dwarfs of Warhammer are Warhammer because what started off as being the Tolkien-esque dwarf evolved very quickly into something very unique to themselves. And you can tell that it did something because every dwarf that you see nowadays isn't a Tolkien dwarf, it's a Warhammer dwarf. Warcraft did it. You always see dwarfs as basically just the Warhammer dwarfs with the serial numbers filed off, and it's weird. In the same way that the orcs kind of became that everywhere as well. So saying goodbye, giving the dwarfs a final goodbye was really smart. But it ends with Skarsnik.
Yeah.
Just looking at the World's Edge Mountains, and he's won, and it's just like, shit.
Yeah.
I have no purpose in life anymore. I have it all. It's all mine. I've got it.
Mm-hmm.
Time to die, I guess.
Yeah, there were lots of moments like that in the End Times book, where they were signing off. They were basically like, saying this is the end of this particular species. They did it in the Kane book with the Dark Elves as they were back then, where Slanesh literally rips open the realm of chaos and reaches out and grabs the cultists like Morathai and one and drags them into his realm.
Yeah, do you know who dies in that book that you wouldn't expect to see? Malus fucking Darkblade.
Yeah, Malus, of course he does, yeah.
Which, if you're listening to Wham, fuck Malus.
Yeah, God. I mean, there's another character they could easily bring back.
I hope not.
Because he was, for a time, he was really popular, wasn't he? He originally occurred in the comics, didn't he?
Yep, in Warhammer Monthly. Yep.
That's right. And then he became so popular, they made a miniature of him and made him a special character.
And genuinely going back and going through it with Andy Turnbull in Wham, I don't understand why he was popular, because fuck me, those stories are terrible.
It's really boring, isn't it? He's a very sort of edgelordy, he's the eternal champion. He's like Elric. He's Elric. It's just a cast-off Elric character.
Yeah, we've been calling him Delric.
Yeah, and it is kind of dull, I've got to say. It's not that interesting.
No, because he doesn't have any kind of personality.
No, none whatsoever.
Malus Darkblade.
Although, there is space to bring him back.
Yeah, of course.
They did it with Morathai, so,
Yeah, well, let's get some actual, Dark Elf style Umbriath in before we start bringing characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, another one is C.L. Werner's Witch Hunter series. They are...
Oh, C.L. Werner, yeah. Again, one of the old guard.
C.L. Werner is a fucking workhorse. That man.
Old guard, yeah.
Yeah. The Matthias Thulman series, they are really good. Like, genuinely fantastic stories. I'm trying to think of other ones that were Fantasy Battle. Because Fantasy Battle was always a weird one for me. If it wasn't Felix and Gotrek or Felix and Gotrek attached, like the Ulrika the Vampire series by Nathan Long, the Thankful series.
Genevieve and whatnot, obviously.
Genevieve. I'm saving Drachenfels for the end. I'm fucking getting there, don't you worry. A lot of what I found in One Fantasy books was it didn't really ever catch me.
No, I'm the same, actually. I'm the same. I always wanted it to be more, you know?
Yeah.
I always wanted it to be doing the exciting stuff that a lot of the 40k novels were doing, where it was like kind of changing your perceptions of the setting rather than reinforcing it.
Yeah, and it's why my personal favourite ones are either going to be the End Times books, which are genuinely great books.
Genuinely good, yeah. Genuinely good books.
Or the stuff that came out right at the beginning, the Orfeo, Conrad, Drachenfels, the Genevieve trilogy, Red Nails, which are all real strange stories. But they are, to me, what Fantasy Battle is. And
yeah, they're more... I mean, the thing about those books is because they're before everything was so codified and before the setting was really solidified, they're their own things. They're much more... They're interesting because they're experiments.
Yes, 100%, yeah. Stephen Seval's The Vampire Wars, the Von Carson trilogy. That's good fun as well. That's really, really good fun.
Who was it who wrote the Nagash series? Mike Brooke, was it? No, it's... I can't remember.
Hang on a second.
I can't remember who wrote the Nagash trilogy. But again, they're an example of it becoming very codified. So... You know, Nagash isn't as interesting in those books as he is in some of the other.
Mike Lee,
that's it. It.
Oh, yeah, they're solid enough books.
Solid. If you want just some grim dark fantasy, they're good. They're fine.
Yeah, but Nagash, because you get Nagash the person, it takes away some of the mystique of Nagash the concept, and that's Jesus Christ, that Sigmar book where you get to follow Sigmar as a barbarian lord.
I know, thank you. Thanks.
But Drachenfels is always going to be my choice to go to, because even though it's not a Warhammer Fantasy Battle that exists, or the old world as exists now, that time has long since passed. It is genuinely, to me, what Warhammer Fantasy is always going to be. That relentless, gloom-lit world where opulence completely drowns out the drudgery of actually existing.
Yeah, it's that big purple prose where everything's... The style is very Lovecraft, isn't it? Where everything is like overemphasized and it's big and it's verbose and, overly descriptive, which works for the setting, I find. I like the stories that are written like that. Because that's just the nature of the setting, right? It's its own particular style, and you have to sort of get used to it. You need to acquire the taste for it. But when you do, it can be a lot of fun.
I think it's also what works for me is when a book isn't just the story that's being told. So Drachenfels and all of the stories that come after it, Kim Newman has a vast wealth of knowledge to pull on in order to create referential cycles within them. Drachenfels is William Shakespeare, the art of plays, the power of the spoken word. There's so many different things going on within Drachenfels and going forth from there. Like Red Nails, it is somebody who understands what the fervor was around the Jack the Ripper murders of the time.
It works, I think, because Kim Newman is a writer before he comes to the 40k setting, so he has certain discipline that a lot of the writers don't. And he, like you say, he has this vast wealth of context to draw upon. It just makes the work more fulsome, and it gives it like layers that a lot of the other work of the era doesn't.
Yeah, and same with Orfeo. The Orfeo trilogy, there's so much being drawn on from Arabian Nights right the way through to Celtic mythology that they can build on in order to make something. And when you get Fantasy Battle further down the line, when it's telling just its own story without any of those foundations, without any of that framework, they do have a tendency to fall a bit flat.
Yeah, definitely.
So AOS. Now this is where it gets interesting.
This is thorny, actually, because I don't think it's only like I've only ever read in AOS like short stories, and I think for me, I prefer that format for the setting.
Yeah,
I really do. There's a lot of stuff in Warhammer Horror that I really like. That's trying to emphasize like different takes on the different races and forces. There's a lot of like Warhammer Horror about the Sylvaneth, for example.
Yeah,
which is really good. It's really, really good.
I mean, hey Andy, do you want to talk about Hunt for Nagash?
I haven't read that. Definitely.
All of those intro like novels are rough.
Oh, are they? Is this like early AOS? Yeah.
Yeah. So what you had at the start was the Realmgate Wars, which then became the Hunt for Nagash.
That's what it's called.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. What they are is. So there wasn't anything. There was no lore. Right. So this was it. This is all you had to start with.
Interesting.
And holy shit,
it's not good.
It did not help itself in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, dear.
That first year, and Andy will back me up on this, I'm sure. That first year of Age of Sigmar fiction is the worst fiction the Black Library has ever put out.
Jeez. Wow.
It's dire.
Is it that bad? Jeez. I don't think I've read any of them, so...
Don't. Just don't. So, an idea is, so the first entry into the Hunt for Nagash, the Stormcast come across Manfred von Carstein.
Okay.
Right? What does Manfred von Carstein do? He is saved. He said, "I'll be your guide through this realm, and we'll find out where we need to go and get what you need and all that type of stuff." And then it's just this constant Manfred then betrays them.
Yeah,
and then Manfred then betrays them.
Yeah,
and then Manfred then betrays them.
Right, okay. Which is no surprise anyway, because if you know the character, which most people reading it will, it's kind of what he does, isn't it?
But it makes the Stormcast seem like the dumbest sacks of shit.
Basically, yeah.
They are morons.
And it makes Manfred really one-dimensional as well, because he's smart. I mean, this guy, Manfred is like the most learned of the von Carsteins. He's an intelligent guy. And let's not forget, the author of The Downfall of the Old World, let's not forget that. So, yeah, I really hate it when it diminishes the villain characters like that.
Yeah, and I remember distinctly Andy getting the Realmgate Wars on Audible. I think it was Realmgate Wars. And I remember the message I got, which was this. It was something on the lines of, "I don't care about AOS."
It was something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it was just the most visceral, venom-dripping message.
I don't even remember what book it was for.
No, I can't. This is a long time ago now.
Just bad, yeah. But
I remember it was so blunt that I couldn't help but hear it in your voice and just laughing so much at how much you hated it.
Brilliance. Absolute brilliance. God, I almost want to read it now and see how bad it is.
Oh, they're not good. I've tried.
They're boring.
Yeah.
Well, that's the cardinal sin, isn't it? Things can be bad and entertaining. If it's bad and boring, you're dead. It's over.
Yeah. And it's I was cast back into that point in my my personal history where, in order for Andy to be able to go and see, I think it was Transformers Age of Extinction, the podcast, I went with him, and that was the last time I ever saw a Michael Bay film.
Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it, definitely. Jesus.
Well, I remember nothing of the film, but I do remember Andy's face thoroughly enjoying how angry I was afterwards. And
it was the best part of the film.
Yeah, actually, that's the only entertainment you get out of it, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Oh, it was bad. But what you then get after that is Pestilence, which is the story of the city built into a worm that moves around the realm of beasts.
Okay.
But the Skaven are trying to invade. So you have like Skavens with harpoons fucking tuning their way from worm to worm. And then City of Secrets hits. And City of Secrets is a turning point with AOS because it's the realization that hitting the anvil as hard as you can isn't going to work in novels.
Right.
You need character.
Yeah, right.
Surprise, fucking surprise. Yeah,
right. Who would have thought that?
Yeah, and you get this massive tonal change with City of Secrets where you're exploring the realm. You've got your characters, Callus and Toll. I always try and mix those two names up, who are now characters who are in a collection of books, and they are the entire purpose for the Dawnbringers. What's it called? Not Dawnbringers. Yeah, the Dawnbringers series of campaign books.
Right.
So they have gone on strength to strength to strength, and they've had animations about them as well. So having those two characters for everything else to springboard off goes so far, and every AOS book since then has taken that as the concept and gone, right, we messed up with the Realm Gate Wars and Hunt for Nagash. So even the stuff like the Black Talon book, which is about Stormcast, the humanity of the Stormcast is front and center. The fear of what they lose over time is front and center. And it makes everything so much more interesting than Space Marines in golden armor.
Yeah, I mean, the potential for storytelling in the Mortal Realms is gigantic.
Yeah.
Given what they did, with the Mortal Realms and like the metaphysics of them, what it means to be human in these realms, which is saturated with magic and which can change, which can actually sort of the topography of them can physically change,
Oh, absolutely.
That is fascinating, and which are dominated by the semi-divine god characters. I mean, that's just so interesting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of potential. There's not really an excuse for there not to be a raft of really good stories from this setting.
Oh, there is. This is the interesting stuff. So there's a few of them I'm going to get through because I feel that there's a lot here. And Andy, if there's anything that you want to throw at me, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one I'm going to go for is Gloomspite.
Yes.
By Andy Clark. Because if you want to know what the horror of living in the mortal realms is like, Gloomspite throws that concept as far as it can. It is genuinely sickening.
And quite clever as well, because it's ostensibly taking one of the more comedic armies.
Yeah.
And making it an artifact of horror, which is actually quite clever.
Yeah. But it's not just here are the Gloomspite gits. They're arriving. There is a slow build to the novel. There is a relentless awfulness to it. And it starts off and there's it's weird. These animals and bugs and things keep appearing everywhere. Oh, okay. Oh, my glass keeps getting stolen. What? It's like, just bottles and things are getting stolen constantly. What? And it keeps ramping up to the point where the bad moon arrives, and this fungal awfulness starts to grow on everything, and everything organic gets mutated into a fungal mound. There's a dwarf that gets tied to a chair as he slowly gets fungified. To the point where he's like moving his eyes around on stalks.
So it's essentially it's Lovecraftian again, isn't it? It's this. It's operating in this state where there are forces that you have no control over, which are mysterious and which can occur like spontaneously, and which produce horror.
Yes.
It's taking it back to its roots in a peculiar kind of way.
It's funny actually because a lot of that is where AOS works for me, because every book that I'm going to talk about it ties back into the style of those early box tree books. Whilst they are 100% they are written in a modern manner.
Yeah.
They don't have that late 70s, early 80s weirdness that the Box 3 books really pushed. But each and every one of them feels like those early days of fantasy battle. That idea that this isn't just, here is the good guys, here is the bad guys, let them fight. Yeah, which what a lot of fantasy novels eventually became.
Yeah.
Outside of something like Savant, which was Sherlock Holmes in the old world, which is really solid books read by Gordon Rennie. But something like that, or The Hollow King by John French, it feels
anything by John French. Quite frankly, he's just a good writer. He's just a very, very good writer.
Yeah. Well, the Hollow King is a vampire. So he's a guy who had a kingdom. His kingdom was murdered. And he's now undead because he was promised vengeance, and that's the road he has to walk as a vampire. He has to follow vengeance, even though the people who committed the atrocities to his kingdom are long since dead. He's still hunting. Yeah, he's still hunting their descendants and the cult that caused it. He's wandering around with these rings that hold the ghosts of all of his court in them. Yeah, these are fantastic concepts.
Yeah.
In a really, really well-written book. And it's so easy for a vampire to be an aloof, one-dimensional creature.
To be boring, basically.
Yeah, but he's
prescribed.
not. Yeah, he's absolutely not. He's Cato is just like this amazingly passionate, angry person who he may be undead, but he's still, he wants his vengeance. It's everything that he needs. His kingdom was killed in the Age of Myth, so that gives you an idea of how long.
So he's been at this for a while,
yeah. That I love that book. I love that book to bits. But as I've been talking for too long, I'll Andy, is there any of them that you want to throw out there?
AOS ones.
Yeah.
I can't think of any off the top of my head, to be honest.
No worries. I'm trying to remember the name of the one about the elven prince. It's gone completely out of my head.
I know the cover.
Yeah,
he's in a green outfit walking towards the foreground.
What the hell is it called? Come on, brain. I hate it when my brain does this. It drives me up the bloody wall. Annoying. That's really annoying. I want to say it's like the Wayfarer Prince or something like that it's called, but I know that's not right. Because this one's a really interesting one. Basically, there's a collection of short stories about the character, and these short stories got rewritten to be a novel.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
But there's like a little bit of difference between them. And unless you've gone through both of them, which I have done.
It's called Prince Maesa.
Maesa.
Prince Mesa.
Mesa.
Is that right? Is that the one you're thinking about?
That's the character. That's the character. I'm sure the book had a different name, but that's probably just my brain being stupid.
Discover the tragic tale of Prince Mesa, nomadic elf, willing to brave the terrible might of Nagash to find respite from his grief.
Yes. So the idea is that he met a mortal woman, and they fell in love, and he was thrown out of being an elf because he'd fallen in love with a mortal woman. She dies, as she would, because she's human, and it's him trying to get her back.
Oh.
I mean, he is selfish. He is
also, it's Orpheus. It's Orpheus and Eurydice,
yeah?
That's cool.
So it's everything from going into Shadespire to, find out what did they know and being tricked. All these different things happen. He goes to all these different places with the sole intention of learning what he can in order to fully find a way to bring her back from the dead.
Yeah, I like that because I like the reference to Greek myth. I think that's kind of interesting.
Was it Hunger Fiend you were thinking of?
That's one of the short stories.
Okay.
It might just be the book's called Prince Mesa. Doesn't matter. Anyhow, I'm not going to get too wrapped up into that. But what's cool about it is because there are these short stories that came before it that go through the same events. And you go through the story as a whole, and it's like, this is like already kind of gone through this, but it's nice that it's been pulled out and things are slightly different. That's kind of cool. But the end result of it is Nagash's curse, which is, oh no, you're never going to find her. You're going to have to do this all over again. It's like, all right, so the first time I went through the short stories, that was a different time to this.
Right, so it's cyclical, right? Yeah.
Holy shit!
Interesting. Showing the Dark Souls influence in the Mortal Realms there, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, which is like, oh my god, and it's such an amazing payoff to have for what is a superb book. That I can rewrite the story as many times as I want because he goes through it each time. It's oh god, so good.
That. I do like that because it's playing with like the nature of the mortal realms and the nature of time and whatnot in them, which is kind of malleable. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It's funny that the books that would be the front and center ones, the Dominion book, which is really good, the Soul Wars book, which is really good, and the Scaventide book, which is also really good. They don't hit my top 5s, top 10s, because the stuff that's out there is so much better than just being a good book.
Yeah.
The Age of Sigmar stories have, for so many times now, have just hit the nail so far on the head that I can't help but just go, where was this?
Where was the beginning? Yeah, but I suppose because the setting just wasn't solidified
it wasn't
at
there.
that point, and they didn't know what. Yeah, they didn't know what to do. Right, they didn't have any foundation. Now they can really work with it.
Yeah, 100%. It's genuinely, I'm blown away by when an Age of Sigmar novel hits. It's either going to be decent or incredible. I haven't come across any bad ones in a while now.
Right, okay.
Yeah, the God Eater's Son was a little lackluster, but still very much enjoyed going through it. And that's the idea of a guy who's basically, I am not following Sigmar. Your people destroyed my people. Why the hell would I follow you? Come to Chaos. No! Absolutely not! Have you seen what happens when you turn to Chaos?
Yeah.
Which is that's quite good.
Yeah.
It's stuff like Realm Lords. I tried to get through, and that didn't really grab my attention. But how much of that is, I wasn't interested in the story it was telling over anything else, because it is very much it's very elvish, which is never going to be to my my interests. But and of course Gotrek's back now, and the fact that Gotrek just goes around exploring different parts of the mortal realms is great.
Well, in many ways, that's kind of the ideal for the mortal realms, isn't it? Because that setting is all right. The setting is the thing in the mortal realms, so that is ideal. A character who is by his nature nomadic, goes around seeking adventure, attracts trouble to himself. Brilliant.
Yeah. I don't understand why there was never a Gotrek animated series on Warhammer Plus.
Oh my god, yeah, voiced by Brian Blessed, obviously.
Or the guy who does the audiobooks, because I love his audiobook voice. It's like broad Yorkshire. But so good.
We've actually been talking about Lovecraft a lot here. Can I just throw out a little promotion? There's a channel roundabouts here on the YouTubes called Horror Babble. And they do readings of not just Lovecraft stories, but the attached mythologies. So there's a lot of Robert Bloch, there's a lot of Ramsey Campbell, all that stuff. Even a couple of August Derleth stories are up there, and they're very good. They're some of the best readings of Lovecraft I've ever come across.
Okay, yeah,
because they're not overly dramatic, but they're just enough.
Yeah.
They get that balance just right.
Yeah.
That's Horror Babble. It's really good. Horror Babble, yeah, really good channel.
Okay, I shall give them a try. The only other ones I really wanted to get into for this are The Vulture Lord by Richard Strachan, which is the story is basically every year there is a game in a city. The winner of the game is chosen by the Bone Reapers to be collected. He then spends a year learning to lead, and then is killed and becomes one of their generals.
Okay, that's very interesting. So it's almost like something to aspire to?
Yeah.
In a weird kind of way?
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's a really... I really like the books.
Well, I like that because that demonstrates like the culture of these entities, the politics that exists between them. That's very interesting.
So I think then, just to finish off, we shall go and see what comments we've got. Over on the Fluffenhammer Facebook, Thomas Dale says, I can only really comment on the 40k stuff, but it's always going to be Dan Abnett's Eisenhorn stuff. We haven't really spoken about Dan Abnett.
No, Dan Abnett needs no introduction, really. I mean, he's kind of the one since Horus Rising who's kind of defined what 40k is in fiction, isn't he? Let's be honest.
Yep, 100%.
He's like the Earth-father of this stuff now, yeah?
Yeah, and when Dan Abnett turns up, you're either going to get a really good book or an absolutely terrible one.
Yeah, it's up or down, isn't it? Yeah, and the good ones are excellent, as in, like, they redefine the setting.
Yep. Over on Blue Sky, he says, Yep. So Warhammer, which is an amazing name.
That's a great name, actually.
Yeah. For 40k, I'd say Storm of Iron. Relentlessly brutal, grim, violent. Yeah.
Storm of Iron deserves a special mention, actually, because, that was one of the earliest Black Library books, and it was one of the ones that sold that label.
Yes. Without Storm of Iron, Black Library probably wouldn't have survived.
It was huge, Storm of Iron. It's hard to emphasize just how big that book was,
Oh, it sold gangbusters.
I think that may be my first Warhammer book I ever read.
Yeah, could well be.
Storm of Iron, very Graham McNeil, of course, and another consistently really good writer, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Always like McNeil. Always.
Me too. Always love Graham McNeil. I mean, his Fulgrim book in the Horus Heresy, fabulous.
She goes on to say, relentlessly brutal, grim, violent, with his occasional bright hope spots managing to shine through just when you need them to make you believe in. Oh crap! Never mind. I just remembered the ending.
Yeah, that ending.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah.
And finally, Big D says, for getting into the absurdities of the setting, probably the Cypher's Kane series. Otherwise, Eisenhorn and Robiner. But also, Hammers of Ulrich is an underloved but my quintessential Warhammer Fantasy Battle novel. I've never read Hammers of Ulrich. I will add that to my list.
Ulrich needs to turn back up, by the way.
He really does. I don't understand why there isn't Stormcast of Ulrich.
The stuff you could do with Ulrich.
Mm-hmm.
All that wolf imagery,
Yep.
Do so much with it.
It's why when I was thinking of doing the Stormcast army, I was doing the Stormcast of Ulrich.
Yeah.
Having lots of furs and wolf heads.
You could sort of you could actually use elements of the 40k Space Wolves in them. And it would work. It would work.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot you can do there. A lot you could do.
Definitely.
So with all that being said, we are going to start getting out of here. Andy, where can people find you if they so wish to hunt you down and wear your trousers?
They can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube as Decade Andy. I'm on the Moonbase 2 podcast where I talk about Transformers each and every week. Type in Moonbase 2 Transformers podcast into Google and you'll find us.
Excellent stuff. George, where can people find you if they wish to steal your socks?
Nowhere near my socks, thank you very much. You can find me on Exaggerated Elegy, where there are lots of podcasts about fiction and cinema and politics and all sorts of stuff. Find me on Our Lives in Horror, which again is discussions with individuals from the independent and small press horror scene. Linked to all of my published work, short story collections, anthologies, my short stories have been published in and whatnot are over on strangeplaygrounds.com. Or at the Evil Empire of Amazon, where if you type in George Daniel Lee, you'll find my Amazon author page. My non-fiction series, my ongoing non-fiction series, My Life in Horror, is available over at gingernutsofhorror.com. And for now, that's it. There'll be something relatively soon to add to the list, but I can't talk about it yet, I'm afraid.
Fair enough. As for myself, you can find everything for the Fluffenhammer. You can find us on Facebook, on Blue Sky, on Threads, on Instagram under the Fluffenhammer. You can find us on Patreon. Come join us on Patreon. You can join us for $1 and you get lots. Or you can join us for $10 and get even more. $10 gets you stickers, mugs, and a T-shirt.
Hey.
Yes. I'm sure there's something else you get as well, but I think that's... Is that it? Oh, I thought there's something else. But yeah, stickers, mugs, and a T-shirt. So come and join us and grab them. You can find my personal stuff over on adnickel.weebly.com. And there's links there to get my books. There's links there to get my art. There's links there to listen to short stories, including Mean Streets, which is a audiobook all about the history of the 2D fighter. There you go. There's things that I've done over the years, and it's all up on that site.
Very cool.
With all that being said, we will get out of here. And thank you very much to Andy and George.
Oh, no. Pleasure. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Why did you sound like a Minecraft villager? And thank you very much to you guys at home for listening, if indeed you still are. Good.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Bye.
Awesome.